Hi, this is Erin from Blossy Bee. Welcome to my channel. The plan for this video is to create some resin art celebrating books and a love for reading as part of an international crafting collaboration I can't wait to tell you all about. My creation today, an octopus. Well, lots of octopuses actually. Now on to my first octopus make. So I am using River Art Resin Deep Pour, which is a 2-to-1 epoxy resin, and I have mixed it up and it's beautifully bubble free. And now I'm adding in some coloured stones. Now I'm sure these have a name. I just don't know, but they're a beautiful teal colour, and they have been mixed in with the resin. So I'll put a little bit of resin in first just to give the head of the octopus a little coating, and then I've blended the rocks with the resin, and now I'm just trying to fill up the head part, and my goal is to create a beautiful crystal clear glass-like head of the octopus with these stunning rocks in them. So that's the plan. Anyway, I better tell you all about this amazing collaboration. It's called the Once Upon a Craft World Book Day Collaboration 2025, and it's organised by the wonderful Nikki and Kirk from Kernick's Creations. And this collaboration is also supported by Crafty YouTubers United, and it's just a true celebration of creativity and our shared love for reading. It is a massive collaboration with an incredible playlist, and I will link that below, and I would encourage you to click on that and check it out. It's a truly binge-worthy, amazing craft session, and of course it's completely free. So my entry into this collaboration is inspired by an absolutely heartwarming book, Remarkably Bright Creatures by Shelby Van Pelt. Now, it's just get your head around this. It's the story of a lady called Tova who's a widowed night cleaner, and she works at an aquarium. And she forms an unlikely bond with the lead character called Marcellus. Now, Marcellus is a highly intelligent, giant Pacific octopus. Now, through his keen observations, he ends up unravelling some mysteries in Tova's life and shows his remarkable skills of intuition. And it does touch on, grief and loneliness and things like that. But, look, it also tells you so much about these incredible creatures, which is, obviously a real passion of mine. So to this teal octopus, I have now added this gorgeous, it's like a gold shard from Harry and Wilma, and I've popped that into the actual 8 tentacles and arms, and I'm just pressing it down into the resin in the hope of getting a smooth base to this. And yeah, look, there's a lot of mess, but I just went with it. It's all easy to clean up. I always use a silicone workspace, and yeah, look, it's not as bad as glitter. I have to say that. The leftover resin I'm going to mix up with some of that same little gold shards, and I'm just going to use this little trinket tray dish, the heart shape, to fill that up and hopefully get a super cute little trinket dish out of it. And I do end up having more left over. I really did overestimate how much I would need. So I go on to make some pussycats. pads, I just used some beautiful sparkly glitter, and I also off camera did some little seahorses, turtles and a heart. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on all the extras I make throughout this video because I want the octopuses to be the main focus. But look, all of these did turn out super cute. Oh, I did all of these little extra hearts as well. And so obviously this video is a tribute to Marcellus, the lead character of the book. And yeah, I hope you enjoy all the different ways that I decide to make the octopus mold and lots of different techniques in here, so stay tuned. It is a longer video, but because I end up making 8 different octopuses, I thought 8 for obvious reasons, and yeah, I hope you enjoy all of them. So let's have a look at our magnificent octopus. And here he is, our beautiful teal and gold first octopus. And I am in love. The head is just so crystal clear, and you can see those beautiful rocks through it. It's exactly what I hoped for. And at this point I'm thinking, I want to do that again. But just with different colours. And so I decide that I'm going to create this amethyst colour. And I've got these amethyst chunks here, and I've also got the finer shards. And so my goal is to fill the head with the larger chunks, and then to use these smaller little shards in the arms of the octopus so that they give it slightly contrasting colour, but also the tentacles are quite narrow, so I want to be able to fit pieces in. So just as before, I'm going to pour a little bit of this River Art resin in, and because it's a deep pour resin, it degasses beautifully, but it also did mean that this project was one that has really taken over a month to do. It's definitely been a labour of love, and as I progress through the videos, you'll see I have my surgery on my hand, and you'll see my hand in different stages of recovery, so it really does span quite a long time. So I'm just spooning in these gorgeous purple chunks, and then I'm going to put a little bit of resin into each of the tentacles or the arms so that I can then have a resin surface to pop the smaller amethyst little tips on. So octopuses belong to the class Cephalopoda, and that includes squids, cuttlefish, nautiluses. But then there's a sub part of this class called the order, and that's Octopoda. And in this, there are meant to be more than 300 species. Isn't that amazing? And they range in size from the smallest, which is the star-sucker pygmy octopus, which is around 2.5 centimetres or just 1 inch and weighs less than a gram, right through to the giant Pacific octopus, which usually weigh around 15 kilos with an arm span up to 4.3 metres. And they did find a large specimen of this that was 71 kilos. So on the video now, you can just see that I'm going ahead and attaching some UV DTF transfers to the little dish, just to decorate it a little bit more. So octopuses live in oceans all around the world. So they live from cold waters in the Arctic and the Antarctic to the warm waters of tropical areas. And different octopus species have adapted to live in different conditions. So some live in coral reefs, some in the deep sea, but none are known to live in fresh water. And yeah, just I've got so much I want to share about octopuses with you. Here I'm just using up some of the leftover resin again. I'm making this owl mould. I wish I could just cut this out altogether. I shouldn't have made it. I don't like this mould. I need to cut it up and use it in another silicone mould. And, but anyway, you'll see what I mean. So back to the more interesting subject, which is the octopuses. So they have a really unique anatomy. So we know that they've got their 8 arms with the suction cups, and those 8 arms are able to operate semi-independently because of their decentralized nervous system, and they have a very large brain. And they don't have a rigid skeleton, but they do have this soft, flexible body that just allows them to squeeze through tight places, and they adapt to various different environments. And of course, one of the things that they're very known for is their ability to camouflage. So they have very specialized cells in their skin, and they have pigments that can be expanded or they can contract to change the colour and reflect and scatter light. And so the octopus can create iridescent and white patterns. And so they use these to blend into their backgrounds. They can get away from predators, and they can also communicate with other octopuses. Yeah. So there's my terrible owl, which we will speak no more of. And I also made a couple of these little insect charms, and I've also got these little turtles, which are super cute. And now time to demold our beautiful purple octopus. Now this is very difficult for me just having one normal hand, so I did have to pass it off to get some help. And here he is. Now I do love this octopus, but I wish that the amethyst coloured stones in the head weren't as dense. I think it would have looked beautiful if you could have seen through a little bit. So anyway, on to octopus number 3. So this one, I'm going to be using some chameleon powders, and I'm just going to brush those on to each of the tentacles. Now, this is not a technique that I use very often, and it's not one I'm terribly comfortable with. I find it's very messy and there's always a lot of cleanup involved. However, I was determined that I wanted a beautiful sort of an iridescent colour changing octopus as a tribute to how octopuses camouflage themselves. So this one was a fairly easy pour. I just added in that beautiful crystal clear resin. Now, with the resin I had left over, I wanted to measure it just to make sure I had enough for a specific mould. And then I added a little bit of this chameleon powder into the resin this time. And I'm going to pour that into one of my little 3D bird moulds. And I didn't feel I could get a brush all through that mould. It was a little bit too many nooks and crannies, especially one-handed. So I just mixed it with the resin and poured it in. And yeah, I think they come out quite beautifully. So again, I do need some help demoulding. And I'm very grateful to various family and friends who have sat next to me over the last month doing this. So here's our little bird with that beautiful chameleon powder. And here is the octopus. And I just love this one. It is so stunning. So the head is just this crystal like glass clear, and his arms are this stunning iridescent chameleon pigment with colour change. It's just crazy beautiful. Very, very happy with this one. love, love, love. Okay, so we're on to the next octopus. And this one, I had an idea that I would like to try and make the tentacles stand out a little bit more. So I've got this packet of beads which I purchased just from Kmart. I think from memory they were only $1 or $2. And I've also got this gorgeous resin luster paste from Just Resin. And this is in a gorgeous, like a creamy white pearl colour. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill the head with the pearl colour, and then I'm going to use the actual pearls in the tentacles, which I think should look good. And just going back to the octopus facts, because I can't help it, I love my octopus facts. So as well as being able to camouflage themselves, octopuses have several other defence mechanisms. So when threatened, many of the species can eject a cloud of ink, and it confuses predators and it provides a chance for them to escape. And they also can exhibit this amazing behaviour with bold contrasting colours and patterns on their skin, which can startle and intimidate potential threats. So they can put on a massive display. They can look much bigger than they are, and they can also mimic other creatures. Now, in this beautiful book, Marcellus the octopus shows his incredible intelligence and problem-solving abilities. And we know octopuses have been able to prove time and time again that they have very advanced cognitive functions, including learning, memory, and even play. And many species have been observed using tools, and often we've thought that tools were just exclusively for humans or primates, but no. Octopus have been seen collecting coconut shells, for example, and using them as little mini portable shelters. They're also very good at solving puzzles and navigating complex mazes and demonstrating their ability to learn and adapt to new situations. And in fact, in the book, when we first meet Marcellus, he has escaped. And he's somewhere he shouldn't be. And you just get this sense that this incredibly intelligent creature, even though the humans think that they have him trapped in this aquarium, he just does his own thing. And you really get to see quite quickly he is a very, very, very smart octopus. So now I'm going to go through, and I've tipped all of the beads into this little ice cube tray just as a way of helping me get my head around the different sizes. And like many projects, I start out incredibly precise and neat, and I have this vision that I want, X amount of tiny pearls and then X amount of the next size and so on and so forth. But of course, reality sinks in, and, fatigue sinks in, and, sooner or later you're like, look, it's looking good. Whatever, nobody's ever going to count these. Please don't count these. So I just go through and I place these little pearls in, and they are already looking amazingly like the suckers on an octopus's tentacles. So I'm so happy with this. And they really, they just stand out so beautifully. And I'm just going in and drizzling over a little bit of that clear resin and using a paddle pop stick here just to make sure that I don't have any pieces that are sitting above the base of the mould, because I want it to be able to sit flat after demoulding. And I've also popped in just some leftover pearls into the middle at the bottom, and just to support the tentacle pearls. With a little bit of leftover clear resin, I'm just popping that into some of these little heart molds and putting some of the pearls on top. And then the 2D bird mold, you'll have noticed I put some of the beautiful pigment paste mixture into there, and now I'm just going to pretty much tip in the rest of all of these little pearls, and I'm going to sit them there with the hope to cover them with resin later. I was obviously very stubborn with this one and determined to get it demolded all by myself, and I can just see how hard it was. Anyway, look at this. I love him. He is so beautiful. That head is the most lustrous colour, and the pearls are just perfect. Super in love with this one. Very happy with that. All right, on to our next octopus. Now, this one is going to be our pretty in pink octopus, and I've added in some iridescent glitter and some bright pink holographic glitter, and I'm just going to mix those together. And now I'm going to use the Elmer's glue, thank you Daniel Cooper, trick to suspend that glitter mix into the resin. And so you'll see it went from a very runny sort of a resin to a very thick gloopy, almost like slime. And so that tiny little drop of the glue is more than enough to cause this chemical reaction, and so it just becomes quite thick. I'm just going to sit this to the side now, and I'm going to use some of the clear resin that I've mixed up to finish off these pearls, but I'm also going to use the rest of that lovely pink mixture to make one of these little heart-shaped charms. And here is the little 2D bird that we put the beads, the pearls all through, and I've just filled that up slowly with clear resin. So now I'm going to work on the tentacles of our pink octopus. I'm going to put a little bit of clear resin into each of the tentacles just to give it a base, and then I'm using these little pink balls. I purchased these from Harry and Wilma, and the idea is that they're going to sit in the tentacles and just create this beautiful these arms that are similar colour to the head. And as before, I've started out super neat and organised, and then it just devolves into a bit of a mess. But anyway, it's a pretty mess. So I'm just filling up the tentacles, and then what I'll do is pop in a spoonful or so into the actual bottom of the head of the octopus, and then fill it up with clear resin to get to the correct surface. With some leftover clear resin, I just make two little hearts with those pink balls in them. And time to demold. So this is the leftover resin from the pearl octopus, and this little bird, I love it. It came out so pretty. It's two sides, and so this is a problem. So the clear hearts with the pink balls are my first indication that something has gone wrong with my pink octopus. And as you'll see when I demold, the little pink balls have actually lost a lot of their dye, and it looks like they are now clear, and you can just see traces of the dye that has sort of leached out of them. And I'm looking at the the pink balls here, and I'm looking at the octopus, and I can see it is an issue. Now, I did get straight away in touch with Harry and Wilma. I sent them a little video just to show them what happened. And they are so responsive, deeply apologetic, and they are going to do some more testing on this product. It's meant to not react to solvents, and it looks like it might have done. So I still have a very pretty octopus, not the vision I had in mind, but yes, so I'm very grateful that Harry and Wilma were taking that feedback on board. So now I am going to move on to our number 6. Oh, look at this. This is the Snow White glitter dust from Just Resin, and it is so fine. As soon as I lifted it out, I exhaled, went everywhere. So yeah, I think it's a don't breathe around this. So what I've done is mixed a little bit of that in with the clear resin, because I know this will give just the most gorgeous little sparkle. And now I'm going to take some of these little metallic foil spirals, and I'm going to, first of all, I start off placing them very carefully with really good intentions. But you'll see as it goes on, yeah, I just keep loading them in. Half of these are gold and half of them are silver, and I've got no idea where they came from. I've had them in my crafting tub, embellishment tub, for a very long time. But spirals have always intrigued me. I think that they're just beautiful. So I decided to use them in this particular octopus. Now, the idea I have for the feet, the arms and the tentacles, is that I want to have, again, similar to the beaded look, and really make it look as if it's got the suckers. And so I'm using this little collection. It's similar sort of a metallic finish, and the tiny little circles with the center part cut out, and they actually have the center part in there as well, so they're all sort of mixed up together. And so I lay these all out, and then story of my life. Yes, so I get them all even and nice and the right amount, and then the resin starts slipping, and then I'm just putting them wherever I can. So that's the idea. I want this one to have really beautiful tentacles that are just this gorgeous bright shiny gold metallic, and with the rings especially to make it look like they are the suckers on the tentacles. I keep saying suckers. They're really like suction cups, aren't they? They are very important to them because they use those to grab objects and manipulate things around them. So now I've just popped into the head some finely shredded, it's like a cellophane, and it's partly holographic. And I just thought that would make a very pretty base underneath all of the spirals in the head. And then I'm just going to go ahead and fill up the base and pour the extra resin in, and then put more of the little embellishments in until things sort of stop moving, because the tentacles sort of face downwards a little bit. And so I just have to make sure that they don't keep sliding down. With a little bit of leftover clear resin I have from this one, I just make up some of those little hearts, and just using various little spirals in there. I think they'll turn out to look quite pretty. Okay, so after finishing topping all of those up, I've let them cure, and now it is time to demold. And these little hearts are so pretty. I'm loving these. They're probably my favourite extras by far. And now demolding our gold spirals octopus. So again, trying my hardest to do the demolding. And then hello you. Wow, those spirals look amazing. Again, the head is just that crystal clear resin. The teeniest little sparkle there, and those beautiful spirals, and then the tentacles. Oh, and that shredded cellophane type of an effect, that is beautiful in there too. I think he's super handsome, super sparkly. Okay, time for our number 7, and second last. And this one, I started off thinking I might do sort of a steampunk vibe, but yeah, I think I need to practice this a bit more because you'll see as we go along. God, I had the basic ingredients there, but could do better next time. Now, in here are some tiny little coloured chips, fragments, I guess the little stones, and I'm just mixing them into clear resin at a very low ratio. I just want them to be a little bit of added something in there when I go to put in the next pieces, and the next pieces are gears. So what I'm doing is I'm sorting through and I'm taking any out that I think are just too big or clunky or don't feel right for the project. And the rest I'm popping into the little cup of resin so that I can fully coat each piece. And then I'm going to pop in a little bit, like the tiniest bit of the Elmer's glue, in the hope that it can actually suspend the gears. Now, this is the first time I've actually tried this trick with anything other than glitter. And unfortunately, you'll see at the demolding stage, it didn't come out exactly as I hoped. But also, I think I put way too many in. So I just think it was a combination of user error and the first time I've ever done anything with any sort of steampunk type embellishments like the gears and cogs and things like that. But anyway, in they all go. And to go along with this sort of metally type of theme, I decide for the tentacles for this one that I'm going to use these little gorgeous, I'm trying to think of the name of it's like a black rainbow oil slick type of colour of a bead, and I've got a couple of different types here from my beading collection, and I'm just going to pop those into the arms of the octopus. And I think that they will work really well. As I said, they have that sort of metallic sheen to them, but they also have that gorgeous like a rainbow sheen to them as well. I mentioned I had these beads in 2 styles. These ones are more like a little tube bead, and I thought they would be great in the base of the octopus, underneath all of the gears, so that you partially see them through the head of the octopus, and they, match really well. So to start off with, I just was sort of delicately placing a little bit in there, and then as time goes by, I just start poking, pushing things down, and then just putting a whole lot more in, just really filling that up. And that probably did not help with having the gears separated, and probably I could have not used the glitter technique. I think it would have just been the same without using the Elmer's glue in there. But anyway, look, it's still looking very pretty. And again, with the leftover resin from this project, I'm just doing some more of these little hearts, and I'm just going to sprinkle in different little beads as well. And yeah, so let's see what it looks like at demolding time. And would you believe I misplaced the hearts? Goodness knows. But here we are demolding our seventh, our penultimate octopus, and he is looking super pretty. And I actually managed to demold this one by myself very well, so my hand is improving over time. And look, so he has those gorgeous gears and cogs in his head, and then he has those beautiful metallic beads, the two different types, in his tentacles, and he just looks very black and gold and metallic and almost gothic. I love him. So 7 down and 1 to go. Meet Marcellus. Our last octopus of the day is going to be my attempt at making Marcellus according to the illustration on the cover of the book. So I'm getting out some pigment powders that I think will give me the various shades that have been included in this illustration. And I'm looking and I'm seeing there's beautiful pinks, and then there's sort of those darker mottly pieces, which I'm going to use that chunky glitter in. And then I can see too that there's these sort of light orange pieces. I've got some very fine orange glitter and a beautiful orangey gold pigment. And I notice that the tentacles are blue, and I'm planning on using some alcohol ink to try and make the little splotches for the suction cups. Now, I wish I didn't have the alcohol ink. I'll just say that up front. I'm not a fan of alcohol inks. They don't work with me very well. I don't work with them very well. But anyway, look, you'll see at the end. So what I'm going to do is mix up a couple of little cups of colours, and I'm going to just then start applying them into the mould. Just looking at the picture, looking at the mould, and trying to get a sense of where the different colours might be. And I'm very aware that they are going to sort of all smoosh together as resin does. It all moves together. I'm not doing anything to keep it all separate or anything. And I just want to end up with a very sort of a blended look. So just putting in, when I see on the picture, I think, you know, on the front of the head, I see some pink, or then a little splash of blue and going into purple. That's what I'm trying to emulate here. And I'm sorry I've got the octopus mould partly off the screen. I think I was just getting a bit too excited. I often find when I'm working with multiple colours that I run out of time. I knew that wouldn't be an issue because I'm using the beautiful River Art resin deep pour, and you get a really extended pot life with this. But for some reason it still sort of panics me when I've got all those little jars there waiting, and I don't know if anyone else feels that way, but it always seems to psychologically get to me, and I feel like I need to rush. Anyway, I'm just smushing away, and then every now and then I add in a little bit of clear resin in the hope that that will also help shape the colours and make some areas a little bit lighter and things like that. So I'll keep going with this until I get up to the tentacles, and then you'll see how I start to use the alcohol ink. And as I mentioned, this is my big regret for this particular octopus. So the idea was that I was going to have these little white alcohol ink spots over the blue resin, and then I would also pop in some blue alcohol ink over the white alcohol ink, and so on, and it would all be beautiful. But in the end, There was just way too much alcohol ink, and in that little tub on the left there you can see I've actually had to scoop out and I'm still scooping out quite a bit of resin that just had way too much blue ink in it. And I'm using the that beautiful pale orange glitter there, like you would to soak up an oil spill in the ocean. I was just desperately trying to do something to soak all of that ink up. I've also popped in some really pretty brighter oceany blue chunky sparkle mix to give those tentacles a little bit more lightness. I am quite concerned that they're very dark now. And as you just watch me fiddle around and finish this piece off, I'd love to remind you to check out the playlist for this amazing international crafty collaboration that has been put together by Kernex Creations and Crafty YouTubers United. And remember, we're celebrating the love of books and of reading. I know that some people don't find it easy to sit down and read a book, and I was always someone who was a voracious reader, like a book a day at least. And that was until I had my son, and I developed a very extreme postnatal depression afterwards. And I stopped reading, and I stopped reading for about 20 years. I'd read little articles online or, picture books to kids at school, things like that. But I stopped reading for pleasure. I just couldn't pick up a book and invest the time and energy into it. I don't know. I lost that ability. But I am very happy to share that I did recently finish a book. It was a beautiful book, actually. My sister bought it for me. It was set in the town I was born in, which is Devonport in Tasmania. I'll link that below if anyone's interested. And I felt a huge sense of accomplishment. And I think that I will now be able to read again. But during that period of not being able to pick up a book, I've also been very lucky to enjoy lots of different audiobooks and podcasts and things like that. And in fact, this book I was able to listen to all about Marcellus and his adventures, with thanks to it being provided as an audiobook. And I'll put the link to how I found that below as well. So I want to inspire people to read more, but it doesn't always have to be paper books. So just wanted to share that little one with you. And finally, before we get to demolding, I wanted to tell you about a very, very special octopus. We have the Tasmanian blue-ringed octopus where I live, and it is a very small but highly venomous species of octopus, and it's found in around the coast of Tasmania and of southern Australia. And it is renowned for its vivid blue rings, as you can see on the screen here, and it has potent venom. They are teeny. They're only about 12 to 20 centimetres, including the span of its arms. And one of the most striking features of this, as I mentioned, is the venom. And it contains something called tetrodotoxin, and that is a potent neurotoxin which is also found in pufferfish. And in fact, it's claimed to be 1,000 times more potent to humans than cyanide. And this toxin is capable of causing paralysis and can be lethal to humans if not treated properly and promptly as well. And they're not an aggressive octopus though, and they will only ever bite when they're provoked or handled. And unfortunately, the toxin can be fatal, and we know that it's caused the death of, I think, at least 3 people. I think 2 in Australia and 1 in Singapore, but many others have really suffered from that venomous bite. And yeah, it also has this amazing cloud of ink that it can actually produce to obscure a predator's vision. And this is also amazing because it contains this substance called tyrosinase, which can impair predators' sense of smell and sight, which adds an extra layer of protection. So I know some of you in North America and the UK, you know, I tell you about these animals, and yeah, there's always sort of feels like there's a deadly bit to them, but that's our Tasmanian blue-ringed octopus. So let's have a look at our Marcellus octopus. After cleaning up a little bit of resin overspill, this is what we're looking at, and he is magnificent. I am loving the colours in his head. I wish his legs weren't as blue, but there you go. I think he's magnificent, and I'm very grateful that I could share this 8 octopus making journey with you. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate your company very much. If you are new to my channel, you might like to consider subscribing, and I love it if you could leave a like, and even better, a comment. I'm really excited to engage with you if you have any questions or comments, and I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit more about octopuses as well. And I'll show you now our final octopus range. I would just love to hear which of these are your favourite and why. And I'd also love to know, how should I have made others or others in the future? So I have my favourite. I've got a couple of favourites, but I'd love to know yours. Thank you again. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye for now.